The Verith Empire had ruled for 10,000 years without question. They were ancient, powerful, and believed themselves invincible. When 12 human explorers from the research vessel Endeavour landed on their outer colony world, the Verith leadership saw an opportunity, not for diplomacy, but for entertainment. The executions were broadcast live across their entire empire. Scientists, artists, engineers, explorers. 12 humans, bound and executed one by one in a grand amphitheater while billions of Verith citizens watched and cheered. It was meant to be a spectacle, a demonstration of dominance, a show of power, a reminder to the galaxy of who truly ruled the stars. The final transmission included a message from the Verith Empress herself: "This is what happens to those who dare enter our space without permission. Humanity will bow, or humanity will perish. Choose quickly." Command Center Director Elena Volkov watched the recorded footage in absolute silence. Her hands trembled. Her colleagues around the table were crying, shouting, demanding immediate military response. But Elena sat motionless, her jaw clenched, her eyes burning with something far more dangerous than rage. She was thinking. How long until we can launch a counterattack? General Marcus Chen asked desperately. Elena didn't respond immediately. Instead, she pulled up a file on the central display, a complete analysis of Verith civilization compiled over the past decade. Their government structure. Their technology. Their weaknesses. And most importantly, their genetic database. The Verith species had achieved biological perfection 10,000 years ago. They no longer reproduced naturally. Every citizen was genetically engineered, cloned from templates stored in their central genetic archive, a vast, sophisticated network of biological data that contained the blueprint for every Verith ever created. It was also, Elena realized, their greatest vulnerability. "We're not launching a military strike," Elena said quietly. "We're going to erase them. Not from the galaxy. From history itself." The council stared at her in incomprehension. Elena stood and walked to the display. "The Verith executed 12 of our people for sport. For entertainment. They broadcast it to their entire civilization. That means one thing: they wanted an audience. They wanted everyone to know what they did. Well, I'm going to give them exactly what they wanted." She turned to the Technological Warfare Division. "I want you to do something the Verith won't expect. I want you to hack their genetic archive and introduce a virus. Not a weapon. A corruption. Something that will slowly, methodically degrade their genetic code in every new birth. Something that can't be stopped, can't be cured, and can't be reversed." "That's genocide," someone whispered. "No," Elena said coldly. "Genocide is what they committed when they executed 12 humans for entertainment. This is accounting. This is balance. This is making sure that every Verith who is born will slowly, inevitably disappear, and they'll understand exactly why." The room fell silent. Within 2 weeks, humanity's best programmers and genetic engineers had created a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't a bomb or a laser. It was elegant. Surgical. Perfect. The virus was released silently into the Verith genetic database. For 3 months, nothing happened. The Verith celebrated their victory, confident that humanity was cowering in fear. Then the births began to fail. Newborn Verith started showing genetic anomalies. Birth defects. Shortened lifespans. Cognitive degradation. The genetic lines that had remained pure for 10,000 years began to fracture and collapse. The Verith turned to their scientists in panic, demanding solutions. But there were no solutions. The virus was adaptive, mutating faster than they could patch their systems. Every attempt to purge it made it stronger. Every effort to isolate the corruption only spread it further. The Verith genetic archive, the source of their immortal civilization, had become a source of extinction. Elena watched from Earth as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Verith birth rates plummeting. Life expectancy collapsing. Their society, which had been built on the assumption of eternal dominance, was watching itself slowly disappear. A Verith representative, one of the last pure-strain individuals, managed to establish communication with Elena. His voice was desperate, trembling with the full weight of comprehension. "Why?" he demanded. "We killed 12 of your kind." 12. Your species numbers billions. Surely you understand that this response is disproportionate? Elena's voice was ice. You didn't just kill 12 humans. You executed them for sport. You broadcast their deaths to your entire civilization. You made it entertainment. You wanted the galaxy to see your power. Well, now the galaxy is seeing what happens when you underestimate humanity. But you're destroying billions, the Verith pleaded. No, Elena corrected. You are. You started this the moment you decided that human lives were worth less than your amusement. I'm simply finishing what you began. The alien representative was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute despair. "We thought you were weak. We thought your species was young and fragile." "We are young," Elena acknowledged. "That's exactly why you should have feared us. Young species don't play by ancient rules. Young species don't accept that might makes right. Young species will burn down the entire galaxy to ensure that killing our people has a cost that echoes across eternity." She paused. "The Verith Empire will be forgotten within 100 years. Not because we will erase you from history books. But because there will be no Verith left to remember. No children. No future. No legacy. Just an empty string of dead worlds orbiting empty stars. The galaxy will move on, and your civilization will become a cautionary tale." The transmission ended. 5 years later, the Verith species was functionally extinct. No new births. No cure. No salvation. A civilization that had lasted 10,000 years had been unmade in a single decade, not by superior firepower, but by the simple, inexorable logic of genetic collapse. Across the galaxy, every spacefaring species watched and learned the same lesson: do not kill humans for entertainment. Do not broadcast their deaths to assert dominance. Do not mistake youth for weakness. Because humans remember. Humans adapt. And humans, when properly motivated, are capable of remaking the very fabric of biology itself. On Earth, Elena stood in the memorial chamber where the names of the 12 executed explorers were engraved in stone. She placed her hand on the cold surface and whispered a promise to the universe. "Let this be known to all who would consider harming humanity: we will find you. We will erase you. Not in battle, but in the very code that makes you who you are. We will make sure your species becomes nothing more than a ghost story told to frighten children." It was a promise that would echo across the galaxy for 1,000 years. And every species that heard it understood, humanity was no longer the young, vulnerable race they had once been. We were the reckoning. Kindly like and subscribe channel. Thank you.